Silence is compliance. How much have you heard that? Or another one people review, silence is violence. We'll talk about that today, but first I want to pose a question to you. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this, and that question is, how much would you be willing to give up before you finally say, no, I've had enough and I'm finally going to speak up? How long will you continue to stay silent about something? Doesn't matter what it is, any sort of thing that's happening in the world, happening in your life, happening with your employer, your boss, people around you, your significant other. How long are you willing to stay silent, hoping things are going to get better, but they only keep getting worse until you finally make your voice heard? How far will you go? I'm really curious about that, because that is what this topic is about today. Because I'm sure I've heard this phrase, the whole silence is violence type thing, but we're not talking specifically about that. We're talking about silence is compliance, which we've heard that is sort of thing with the whole Black Lives Matter protests that have happened, but that's not related to that. Well, in a way, it kind of is for like equal rights and everything, but that's kind of beside the point. So the whole premise of what that saying means, silence is compliance, which means if you don't speak up and make your voice heard and express your views on something, and you remain silent, it means that you are okay with the situation, that you don't want to voice your opinion, you don't feel as though you need to voice your opinion, or maybe you're hesitant or scared to voice your opinion on something. So you pretty much just let it be. Gosh, that hurts so bad. So, as I posed the question earlier, I said, how much would you be willing to give up in order for you to actually speak up? Because that is what seems to be going on a lot in people's lives, throughout people's lives, and especially in the world right now. We are in a state now of torture, essentially. Like, if you view what is happening to people in the world as a form of torture, they're slowly being tortured more and more slowly, having more and more rights taken away, and slowly over time you see more and more people standing up and saying no to this. You see more and more people standing up and saying, I will not stand for this any longer. I've stood for it long enough. But why do these people wait so long? That is the major question here. Why do we wait so long for that? With the things that are happening in the world, it's kind of like a good scenario. Well, a good example is, lock down for 2 weeks. Make sure you flatten the curve so the hospitals don't become overrun. Okay. We got it. We're going to comply with that for 2 weeks. We're good. We see the end goal of when things are going to go back to normal. Well, 2 weeks later, no, nothing went back to normal at all. Things just got more strict. It's like, okay, now that they have complied with this initial request, we're going to make it even more strict for them and see if they comply with this. Oh, they comply with that too? Okay, we're going to make them comply with the next thing now. Oh, they comply with that one too. Okay, we're going to keep going further and further down to see how much before they just get broken down mentally and physically. So it comes a point when do you realize, and when do you stand up? That is the question here. For me, when did I stand up? I started to stand up regarding this sort of thing probably back in March is when I started to realize it, and I slowly started to switch things around in my mind. Started to learn more things, and once it got to the point where I just wasn't going to have it anymore. And many other people that I've spoke to here are the same exact way. They're just like, we're not going to have this anymore. We're going to stand up. We're going to speak our rights. But there are so many other people who continue to go down this path and just go, oh, I have to do this now? Okay, I'll comply. Oh, I have to do this now? Okay, I'll comply. And they just keep going down and down and down. And those are the people that I feel the worst for, because I think deep down they realize that what's happening is very wrong. That they're having more and more things taken away from them. But they're silent on the issue. They're silent because some people simply are compliant with every single order that is given to them. They will, whatever the government says, whatever the news says, they will comply with it without questioning it whatsoever. There used to be a lot of people like that, but now there aren't as many people like that. There's still certainly a decent amount of people who are like that, but that number has lessened significantly because this whole situation has woken people up. They have realized that, what's going on, it just doesn't make any sense. That more and more things are happening to them specifically. More and more of their rights are being taken away, and more things are being mandated, but everything else doesn't make any sense. It doesn't correlate. It's as everything is going down, their rights are being taken away as well. So, as I said, many people have become aware of that and are standing up against that. And as I said, silence is compliance, because when you're unable to express your views, unable to stand up for yourself and for your rights and just comply, you're saying, okay, I'm going to comply with this because I have to. Not because I want to, because I have to. And then what? A lot of these people have hope that, okay, it's not going to get any worse, right? It can't get any worse. There's no possible way it could get any worse. Well, it gets worse. It gets worse, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I have to comply with it. I have to comply with it. It gets worse again. I have to comply. So how far are you willing to go? Not just in this situation, but I am curious about this situation in the world right now. Any situation, how far do you have to be going down there to finally say, no, I've had enough. I am not doing this anymore. More and more people are doing that in the world today. More and more people are becoming aware of that. They're saying, no, I've had enough of this. This does not make any sense. Nothing is adding up. The science makes no sense here. Nothing is adding up at all. So everything is turning. If you remember, like a few weeks ago, actually probably a few months ago now, I said humanity is headed down a path where there's like two major branching paths. That is where we were kind of stuck at. Which way are we going to go? Which way are we going to go? And I see it now. We're going now in a different direction. A brand new, much more positive path. It may not seem like it, but that's because we are starting to get rid of all of the old, and more people are standing up. So, and I myself, through all this, I've learned so much, I've grown so much, I've been able to actually stand up and speak my ground far more than I ever have before. I'm sure you've noticed significant changes with me just this year. Even if you don't agree with me, even if you don't like them, because I know, I'll tell you this is the strangest thing. There are people who watch my videos, who comment, who completely disagree, which, you have every right to do that, absolutely. But it's also kind of strange because these people are simply watching for the disagreement, to disagree, for the sole purpose of disagreeing. And what I have to say to those people is, there are so many more things you could be focusing on. There are so many more positive things you could be focusing on. Why do you focus on the things that you don't like? Why do you focus on the things that bring you down, that make you unhappy? That I don't understand. But it's almost like also what the news media does to people. It's an entrancing effect when you watch the news media, because they hook you in with fear and they make you stick around with fear. And that is what keeps you coming back to them, because you are so terrified out of your mind that you just keep wanting to hear what is next to fear. What other dangerous thing going on in the world is there to fear now? And I think that's what many people are waking up to. Many people realize that, and they will no longer be controlled by fear. There's no reason to be controlled by fear. Or anger, because anger is also another negative energy as well. And I myself was angry before. I myself still get angry from time to time at what's going on, because the things that are happening are just, they don't make any sense. And a lot of us know that it doesn't make any sense, but we have the power and we have the voice to make people aware. It may seem daunting thinking about, oh, look at the competition we are up against, but guess what? There are so many people in the world who know what's going on, who know that this isn't right, who know that they don't want to comply anymore. They don't. They're sick and tired of these ridiculous things and these rules and these mandates and all this sort of stuff. But they're being silent, which means they're being compliant, which means that could lead to even worse things if they don't stand up. So now we have to stand up now. We have to rise above this now. We can't allow this to continue to progress down and down and down, because if it keeps happening like that, then we're going to keep going down. It's going to be harder to rebound back up. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. Of course it is, and I know that we are headed on that path. I know that we are headed on the path of going back up, but how quickly and how long will it take? I don't know. How much further will we go down before we start to rise back up? I don't know. But what I will say though is, we have another week left of July. I think some really big things are going to happen there. I really do. And then we have, the month of August, September, October, November, and December. I'm thinking August and September are going to be really, really big months. October and November is going to be a big month. December, big month. All these months are going to be major, major things that are going to be happening in the world, and we know that. So we'll just have to continue to see where things go. So, as I said, now is not the time to be silent any longer. If you have things on your mind, if you know that things are not right, regardless of whatever they are, doesn't have to be related to what's happening in the world, anything at all, if you see something that is wrong, if you see something that you don't agree with, if you see something that makes you uneasy and you're forced to do something that you don't want to do, then you have every right to speak up against it. You really do. And make your voice heard, because that is one of the most amazing things you can do. Okay? So make your voice heard, especially if what's going on directly impacts you or someone close to you or your future kids or anything else related to that, because a lot of people say, oh, well, it doesn't concern me, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I will say what's going on in the world right now concerns every single person alive. Because if we don't stand up, then we will comply. It's like automatically a given. It's like, well, not enough people stood up, so I guess that means that they complied. But that's not the case. And we know that that's not the case, so we have to make our voice heard. That's my word for today. Let me know your thoughts. Take care, and I'll catch you later. Bye.